present a detailed and well-researched study of the second verse of Part 2 of Prathamopadesha, Rasayankhand of Rasaratnakara by Sri Nityanand Siddha. Okay, let's cut straight to the core of this highly specific piece of historical pharmacology. We're going to unpack its linguistic, historical, and modern scientific significance.
So, that opening mandate, it's crystal clear. We are not dealing in broad generalities today. Instead, we're taking a magnifying glass directly to this singular verse to extract literally every ounce of its historical and pharmacological meaning.
Here's our roadmap for today. We'll cover 1. Anatomy of verse 2. 2. The core substance mica. 3. Kshetra Karana. 4. Echoes in scriptures. 5. Modern scientific review. And 6. Significance and future.
Section 1. Anatomy of verse 2. Let's examine the raw linguistic artifact itself. Seeing this sourced directly from the 1939 manuscript is incredible. Verse 2 is nested right beneath the Dvitiya Upadesha heading. It's actually really grounding to look at the exact typography and structure that scholars and practitioners have studied for generations, This isn't just abstract theory. It's a tangible piece of history staring right back at us.
Let's dive into the text itself. The original Sanskrit and its Roman transliteration reads, Abrakam bakshayed ado, maritam cham ruti krutam, masekam nishkam vai, kshetre karanhe teve. This paragraph sits squarely in the crucial early stages of the text, setting the foundational rules for the entire regimen. And if you listen closely, you can hear that metric rhythm, right? That was an absolutely vital tool for memorization in these ancient oral and written traditions.
So the really crucial point here is how the syntax specifically sequences the processing of the metal before its intended bodily application. Let's break down the anvai, that's the syntactic sequence, right alongside the semantics. First up, we see maritam, which means incinerated or processed into ash. Next is chan armuti krutam, meaning nectarized or completely detoxified. And finally, kshatri karanhetave, pointing to the ultimate purpose, the preparation of the bodily field. The linguistics here perfectly mirror the physical process. And in simple English, this brilliantly illustrates the ancient approach. Consume incinerated and nectarized mica first, for 1 month in a 1 nishka dose for bodily preparation. What we have here is a highly specific, prescribed medical regimen. It features a specific processed substance, a precise duration of 1 month, and an exact dosage of 1 nishka. By the way, a nishka is an ancient unit of measurement, roughly equal to 3 grams. That tiny amount really reflects the extreme caution required when ingesting such potent, highly processed materials.
Moving right along to Section 2, the core substance, mica.
We are isolating the exact active ingredient at the absolute heart of this ancient verse. We're focusing strictly on abraca, known classically as a naturally occurring silicate mineral, mica. But its historical purpose here goes way beyond geology. It was engineered for extreme bodily rejuvenation. Symbolically speaking, within the Shastra tradition, mica was revered as an agent of supreme vitality. It represented an almost indestructible life force that was meant to transfer its longevity directly to the patient.
Section 3. Kshetri Karana, preparing the body.
How is this substance historically processed and applied? Well, it is absolutely vital to understand that Kshetri Karana is not just a treatment, it's a profound historical and physiological philosophy. In Sanskrit, kshetra literally means field. So, this concept treats the human body exactly like an agricultural field. Think about it. Before you can sow the seeds of powerful medicines or therapies, you first have to plow, detoxify, and prepare the soil. Kshetri Karana is that rigorous preparatory purification to make the body a fertile ground for medicinal action.
To achieve this, the verse outlines some incredibly complex processes. Maritam involves intense incineration to create ash, known as basma. Then, amurtakritam refers to repeated processing for nectarization, or complete toxin removal. Historically, achieving this required heavy-duty equipment like the musha, which are specialized, highly durable clay crucibles, and the gajaputa. A gajaputa was a massive, high-heat fire pit fueled by precisely measured layers of cow dung. Now, to be clear, we are strictly noting these as ancient, descriptive conceptual processes, not as modern step-by-step clinical instructions.
Section 4. Echoes in Ancient Scriptures.
This verse doesn't just exist in a vacuum. The principles of metal purification found here echo throughout major foundational Sanskrit texts. For instance, the Chak Samhita, particularly in its Chikitsastana chapter on Rasayana, details overarching general rejuvenation philosophies. You'll find early mineral therapies in the Sushruta Samhita. Crucially, texts like Rasarnava, specifically in its 7th chapter, and the 10th Taranga of the Rasatarangini dive heavily into the exact chemical processes of bhasma preparation and processing mica. So, verse 2 is really just one part of a massive, interconnected textual tradition.
Section 5. Modern Scientific Review.
It's time to subject these historical claims to the illuminating light of the modern laboratory. We must neutrally contrast these paradigms. On one hand, classical claims assert that properly nectarized mica provides bodily rejuvenation and is completely safe. But on the other hand, modern evidence and toxicology issue some pretty stern warnings. Without rigorous modern clinical trials, these macro claims remain entirely unproven. Furthermore, ingesting raw or improperly processed silicates carries severe toxicity and heavy metal risks. It is a stark contrast between historical belief and modern clinical safety standards.
But fascinatingly, it's not entirely black and white across scientific disciplines. Modern chemistry and material science actually view these intensive, repetitive heating processes as inducing profound structural changes. In fact, nanotechnology looks at these ancient bhasmas as potential primitive nanoparticles. However, metallurgy and pharmaceutical science clearly dictate that regardless of that potential, these classical formulations require incredibly strict toxicological screening before they can ever be considered for human use.
Section 6. Significance and Future Research.
Let's bring all this incredible information together. What's the main takeaway? The true value here lies in recognizing the meticulous, highly structured approach of ancient pharmacology. The historical importance of the Rasasastra tradition is that it wasn't random, it was a disciplined proto-science. Today, the modern significance lies in the study of these bhasmas as primitive nanoparticles. But the absolutely crucial point is the undeniable need for rigorous modern clinical trials on classical bhasmas. For those looking to explore the modern proof, utilizing Google Scholar keywords like Abraka Bhasma nanoparticles, or searching PubMed for toxicological reviews or review articles of Rasashastra formulations provides a wealth of contemporary research and DOIs to bridge this knowledge gap.
I'll leave you with this final provocative thought. Can modern nanotechnology unlock the hidden, potentially beneficial mechanisms of ancient bhasma preparations? Or are texts like the Rasaratnakara purely historical artifacts of a bygone era? The answer likely lies somewhere in the middle, just waiting for researchers to bridge the gap between ancient Sanskrit verses and the modern electron microscope. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive.